Today we're interviewing somebody that you absolutely need to know about, especially if you're wanting to get into the cybersecurity industry. He's the founder of O-LineSec. You can find him on YouTube and Twitter. He specializes in CompTIA certification paths, including the Security Plus. His name is Cyber Shinobii. You should definitely check him out on YouTube and Twitter, where there are links down in the description, as well as to O-LineSec. But before we dive into this interview, first like this video, comment down below on anything awesome you learned in this interview, and subscribe for more content I'm posting every week. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so for anybody that is not quite familiar with you yet, just if you don't mind giving a brief description about O-LineSec, your background in cybersecurity and where they can find you.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for having me on the show, Caleb. For folks who don't know me, my name is Toby Owolabi. I'm the founder of O-LineSecurity. Some people know us as O-LineSec on Twitter for short. But a little bit about O-Line. I started O-Line about 2 years ago now, mainly because a lot of my friends who were around me, they had troubles getting into cybersecurity. They had certain issues. They even starting with the Security Plus certification, just getting past that first. And if they got past that, then the next hurdle was, how do I get a job? How do I get in the field? I don't know anything. I don't have any experience. So that there, was it defeated a lot of people, right? Just the thought about being competitive with other folks in the field who have these skills. And I knew based off of my experience that they had it more than enough to get in the field. They just needed to know the right ways to get in. So, I created a course. The first course was free, put it together, invited some of my close friends to take it. It was a full class. It was actually more than we do now, which is why we only have 10 students now. But it was a full class. Those folks, about 5 of them, they got certified. The rest of them, they didn't take the exam. They just wanted to take the class. The 5 of them got certified. One of them has been working with us ever since. He's at Deloitte now. And ever since then, that first course, we got better. I started reaching out to more recruiters, establishing partnerships with them, partnerships with previous engagements that I've been on, just showing them, hey, we can get your employees certified. We can get students certified, and then show them how to get into cybersecurity, not just leave them hanging with the cert.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Excellent work. So I noticed, of course, I'm a huge fan of football. O-line, just kind of in the logo has football players. So, what got you into, creating, well, this is, I guess, a two-part question. What got you into creating O-LineSec? We already talked about that, but, what kind of inspired the name there?
And you know what? It'll probably help if I, say that I do have about 7 to 8 years of experience in security. I forgot to add that in there. I don't talk too much about myself, but I'm a security consultant right now. Actually, security architect. They have a more fancy name for me. There's a lot of fancy titles out here, but at the end of the day, I'm a security architect, Splunk certified consultant. I can go down the list with the certifications, but so O-LineSecurity, the name, and a lot of people don't catch it like you caught it. So when people catch it, I smile. The name is it. So I had to figure out, my last name was Owolabi, and I needed to figure out a way to get Owolabi in there, but nobody's gonna want to say Owolabi security, right? Teachers already have a hard time in school pronouncing my name. So I just left it alone for a few days, and it literally just hit me one day. I was just sitting there saying it out loud, like Owolabi, 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 O-line, offensive lineman. And I'll tweet my developer after this. I literally, at that moment, took out a piece of paper. I can't draw. I took out a piece of paper, drew a stick figure. He probably still has it. I drew a stick figure holding a laptop, and then I drew linemen around him, and I said, hey, can you bring this to life? And he brought it to life. It was amazing. Right? It was just so amazing the way he did it from stick figures.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And it's honestly like, from like a football nerd perspective, it's so perfect because the job of the O line obviously is to protect the quarterback. So,
Yes.
and like the job of security is to protect. And so there's like relations upon relations here. That's I mean, a brilliant name there.
And the quarterback, just like you're mentioning, that's the end user. That's us, right? And that's the end user. That's employers. That's organizations. People who have data, some type of sensitive data they want to safeguard, right? They have the laptop in their hand, and then the lineman, that would be the security controls, right? The different things we can implement to protect the lineman from getting sacked. I
That's
mean, the
perfect.
quarterback from getting sacked.
It's perfect. So, are you a football fan?
Yeah, I am. Now this year, I must say I didn't watch too much football. Um, I just it that season right around the fall was really really high traffic for O-line, so I was really just in behind my computer all day every night.
Gotcha. What's your team?
Ravens, Baltimore Ravens.
Ah,
What about
okay.
you?
Diehard Kansas City Chiefs.
All right, I
Yeah.
like that. I like that. I
I'm
like that.
from Missouri, so it's not like a bandwagon kind of thing.
Okay.
It's like, let's just
And I
root
can
for 'em.
respect that because a lot of people don't even. We were talking about Jamal Charles. A lot of people don't even remember him.
Oh man, it's gonna make me so sad. Anyway, anyway, man, and so I just saw you recently hit 200 subs on your YouTube channel, which
Yeah,
congratulations.
man.
That's, I mean,
Thank you, thank you, thank
each
you.
100, especially getting started, it's a grind. It's a
Yeah.
grind. So congratulations on that. What got you interested in making a YouTube channel?
To be honest with you, it was more so. I'm not. It was more so. Um, there were certain things that I wanted to cover. It wasn't necessarily Security Plus related, or it would have sidetracked the topic of the day or the lesson. So I recorded it after class, and then said, instead of sending it to you individually, I could just put it on the YouTube channel. And I still remember when we just had one or no subscribers, and it was discouraging at first. I'm like, nobody's coming here, but then I just forgot about it because I just got so busy and busy and busy. And then I looked at it one day and I was like, whoa, when did we get to 200 subscribers?
That's awesome. That's so cool. And that's, I mean, great content that you're putting on there as well. So, I mean, everybody follow him. There are links, by the way, down in the description. O-LineSec, or it's O-LineSec, correct?
O-LineSecurity.
O-LineSecurity. Okay, I keep getting those
Yeah.
two mixed up. Um,
The
so
Twitter handle's O-LineSec, so that's what you're probably thinking
that's
of.
which
Yeah.
follow him on Twitter as well. So, you've had rave reviews about your consulting and about O-LineSecurity. What are some of the things that you found to be key to your success that maybe other security consultants that are watching can kind of bring and, help, kind of create a more secure environment where they are?
I mean, there are a lot of different moving parts that help, but what among those parts, what stands out to me and what O-line is bringing to the table is transparency and customer service, right? Being transparent about what we can do and what we can't do, right? Not giving out false hope, not telling people, hey, you're going to get a guaranteed job if you do X, Y, and Z. Like, there are no guarantees. And at the same time, showing those reviews, right? Because now those reviews, they start building this reputation of trust, right? Your students actually trust you enough to go back out. I mean, it seems simple to type out a review, but you're literally taking the time out of somebody's day. And the reviews that they're leaving are lengthy reviews. And that right there has been driving us from day one. It's just building that trust with our students, taking care of them individually, one at a time. And seeing the return of that, right? It's just showing with the reviews, and it's showing with more people finding out about O-LineSecurity and just in awareness, right? So definitely those are the two most important things that have been playing a key part: transparency, just being honest about what we can and what we can't do, and building this trustworthy relationship.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What are, some of your proudest moments with O-LineSecurity?
Man, I mean, I always get, you can ask my students, like when they call me and tell me, hey, they got certified, or they got a job, they'll tell you, I'm running around the house, jumping up and down, let's go, let's get it, let's get it. And there you can hear them smiling in the background. Um, Besides that, it's hard to say. We've gotten people jobs who were laid off from COVID. That was a great moment, and another great another great moment would be the partnership that we established with Tech Systems. That was definitely something that came a lot sooner than I planned. And the following relationships that we built with other recruiting companies, all of them are great moments. I don't know which one to pick out of them all, but I don't know, you got to enjoy every last one of them.
That's awesome. That's so cool, man. I mean, so I mean, just kind of to go back through some of the statistics you mentioned at the very beginning. How many students have you mentored so far, and like how many of them have gone on and gotten certified?
And well, students in the class, we actually have it written down. We have our ratios written down right now, based off of students who are finishing the course and going to get certified, 99% pass rate with that. And yeah, that's pretty high. And then with students who are actually getting jobs after that, that is about, I'm going to say 89, just not to be biased. But we do have hard metrics behind these. So, and it's pretty cool. And the more people that find out about O-Line, the higher I see those numbers increasing, because the material is always changing. We're always updating it, and we're not stuck in our ways. We know that security is changing. We know that CompTIA, we're partners with CompTIA. They have rules and guidelines that we have to follow and comply with too. So we're always adapting. We're always trying to make things more fun. And students usually learn more when they're having fun. I know I did when I went to school. So
That's awesome. That's so cool, man. Congratulations. So, I feel, especially for me, whenever I was just starting off, it's like, there's, whenever you think cybersecurity, especially maybe if you're not in the industry, you might think of like a hacker, or
yeah,
like
yeah,
hacking.
yeah.
And that's generally what, I mean, that's what I wanted to just shoot straight for, right out the gate, without actually taking the time to dive into like the fundamental concepts. How important is it to kind of dive in and really digest those concepts, and kind of more towards a security plus, how important is that, just as like a baseline, like a foundation from which to kind of grow and build your career?
See, that's a good question. That's a really good question, because that's one of the principles O-LineSecurity was founded on: fundamentals of security, understanding the basic building blocks, because this can really, it can set you up for success a lot more effectively than if you didn't have the fundamentals, right? Because not only are the fundamentals going to help you get past your exam, it's going to help you on the job, right? We learn about proxies, we learn about cryptography and encryption. You know it from a dictionary perspective, from a book level, but the fundamentals, when we're talking about fundamentals, we're talking about how do we actually implement these things at a basic level. Because now let's imagine you were sitting as a SOC, right? You're sitting as a SOC analyst, and you have some alert coming through Splunk, and I'm just making some random examples. You have an alert coming through Splunk, and it's not enough information, right? Maybe the analyst isn't well versed with Splunk. Well, do they know how to get into the proxy? Do they understand what proxy logs look like? Do they understand HTTP requests and the headers? Because that's right. If they're looking at Splunk and they're looking at proxy logs, it's the same proxy that you learned about in the book, right? But you understanding the fundamentals of how proxies work, not just proxy, but any security tool, understanding how they work is going to help you a lot more when you're actually on the job, right? It's going to help you before you even get to the job. It's going to help you get past the interviews. And then once you get the job, it's going to help you succeed I don't want to say faster, but it's going to be a lot more effective for you understanding the fundamentals. I've seen it help everybody who's used it. I've seen it take people from tier 1 to tier 2, right? Because they understood the fundamentals better than people who are on a higher position. One of our students, Alonzo, he graduated in July, right? It's helped him a lot this past July. It's helped him a lot in his position as a SOC analyst to understand what the other teams were doing during his stand-ups, right? He can understand what they're doing. He can speak the language with them. They understand what he's talking about, and he's becoming more of an asset because of the fundamentals. And I don't think, it's really harped on enough because of the times that we're in when companies just want to fill seats. They just want to get people certified. And then you have other individuals who see that, or at least they see some perspective of it. And now in the back of their mind, they're, let me get the Security Plus, let me get the CAS Plus or the CISSP right after Security Plus. And I'm like, slow down, slow down. You have to understand what you just learned first, right? You don't just jump to the CISSP. How did you apply what you learned in the Security Plus yet? Right? Do you understand the different perspectives?
Yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's like a 5-year like experience requirement for the CISSP, and
Yeah.
like that exists for a reason.
Yeah.
It's because, I mean, there has to be that time where you're implementing the fundamentals in the real world. It's no longer just a book concept; it's a real world concept and application. And then from there, you move on to those more advanced certs. Because I love the sport of football. I love to kind of always tie it in, but like you'll always see whenever a team is like struggling, at least in like some of like the past years with like the Chiefs, whenever they're kind of like starting to slip on some games, like they'll always talk about how they were trying to make the game plan too complex. They just have to get to the fundamentals, and you'll see that with other teams. It's like once they get back to the fundamentals, they'll kind of turn things around. And I feel like it's like that, with our careers, with just this industry as a whole. Like, wherever you're at, as long as you're strong with the fundamentals, the complex stuff will get sorted out.
Falls right
But
into place.
without strong fundamentals, I mean, you're going for an 0-16 season. You're going to be the Detroit Lions or the Cleveland Browns. It's going to be a rough time.
Well, we don't like the Cleveland Browns, so that's okay.
I mean, but you're in their division. It is what it is. They're a sweetheart story to me.
Yeah,
Until they get good. Once they get good, if they beat the Chiefs one day, maybe I won't like them so much, but who knows? So, who is, or to kind of tie our YouTube channel into O-LineSecurity, have you found that to be helpful towards supplementing, everything that you're teaching there? I mean, I know you said that you like to take, some of the extra thoughts that wouldn't fit in a lesson there and create videos about that. Do you mind just kind of expanding on how that's really helped, widen your students, grasp on the fundamentals on different cybersecurity topics, and how that might have even helped, reach audiences that maybe you didn't have any contact with?
Yeah, it actually did both. It's actually done a lot. The idea to do it was first to help the students, give them resources that they have access to outside of class. Then, ultimately other people on the internet started seeing it, and I was getting emails and feedback from them that it was benefiting them. And then it just hit me, maybe, we can, because we have study sessions. Let me go back. So the YouTube videos are great because they're extra resources outside of class. Another extra resource that we provide is Cyber Thursdays, right? Cyber Thursdays it's like this. It's a Zoom. We stream it on YouTube Live as well for everybody else to participate in. But helped us get what we have to offer, our services, out to the world a lot more efficiently, because now people, they get an insight as to how we operate in the class, and not just how we operate in the class, how our students are progressing in the class, right? And then on top of that, we actually helped somebody get hired from Cyber Thursday, and she's been sending a lot of right? Word of mouth. She's been sending a lot of her friends to our classes. A few of them have actually registered for our class in April.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I mean, those stories are just so awesome to hear because, it's such a cool industry. And we've talked, I mean, a little bit on the channel, but I mean, as you know, it's a big discussion in the cybersecurity world is like the talent shortage,
Hmm.
and just that, I mean, people need people. We need cybersecurity professionals out
Yeah,
there and, to kind of, raise awareness to that and kind
yep,
of show that it's a legitimate, I mean, not only is it a legitimate career opportunity, it's a pretty sick career opportunity,
yep.
Uh, that's so cool. Who is, someone that you really look up to in the security world that, is like a mentor and why?
Oh man, he won't say he's my mentor, um, right? He's too modest, but it has to be my one of my good friends, EJ. Every time, right from the first moment I met him, I actually met him on a contract. We were SOC analysts, and he was manning this SOC almost. We had a few help, but the some of the security tools he was manning it by himself, and I was just so amazed at how much he was able to do. Right, not just with the tool sets, but adding on to the tool sets from a developer's perspective, right? He's no longer a simple engineer anymore. He's no longer creating scripts to automate tasks. He's building on top of these things. And from that moment on, when I came into the field, I started out as a senior SOC analyst. They put me at a senior level because of my master's degree. Uh, but I was only thinking one way, and that was SOC, threats. And then I saw what he was doing. He was building, he was developing, he was scripting, he was all over the place. And I just asked him, yeah, hey, can you teach me how to do some of this? Like, can I learn? Can I shadow you? Can I partner with you? Can I take your number down? Can I ask you questions? Can I bother you? Until this day, right? He's still teaching me things he's teaching me how to script things in regards to the stock market. And I'm like, wow, right? We're taking our capabilities outside of cybersecurity to benefit us in other places. So he's definitely my go-to guy. Sometimes I call him Mr. Robot, Elliot. He's a good guy, man.
That's awesome. I love Mr. Robot. That's such a good show.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite shows.
Absolutely. I'm so bummed that it's no longer, coming out with new seasons, but I
Yeah.
feel like it left with some, it tied the story together just nice. And there's some spin-off opportunities that I see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hopefully. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
We'll see. And just to kind of build on that, how important is it, because I mean, cybersecurity is so complex, and I feel like I'm in that position that you were talking about, right now with my current job, where you're thinking sock, 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 where it's just like a lot of the information can seem kind of overwhelming, and it really takes, I guess, kind of slowing down, but also having somebody to kind of help translate that and slow
Mm-hmm.
it down for you. How important is it, for people that are just, getting into the industry or wanting to get in, to try to find some kind of a mentor like that or someone that can kind of help them show them the ropes like that?
I think it's crucial. It's crucial. I don't know if it's necessary, but I think it'll help a lot, like tremendously. It'll help a lot because, and speaking from experience and other experiences that I've learned about, when you're in the field and you don't have, especially if you're new to the field and you don't have guidance, you don't have a mentor, you can be shooting all over the place, right? You could be trying to tackle networking, you could be trying to tackle vulnerabilities, risk management. This is outside of getting past your certification, right? You could be trying to get into so many different areas and not understanding, because you don't have the mentor, you don't have the guidance, not understanding that it's okay to pick one place, and that one place is going to take you throughout all these other areas that you're trying to get to, right? More than likely it's going to take you there because you're going to run into issues. If you wanted to be a vulnerability analyst, right? Focus on how they operate, right? Eventually you're going to run into issues when you're building nests. Like, challenge yourself, build nests, you'll get the engineering skills from that, right? It, add more to Nessus, add more capabilities around it, right? Add other machines. You'll get your developing and your system administration experience from there. But without the guidance, it's easy to try to tackle all these other things instead of focusing on one niche, one area, and let that area take you throughout. So I think mentorship, if you don't have a mentor, definitely reach out to somebody and ask them. I know it may seem like a scary thing to do. People are busy, like super busy, especially the ones who are really doing it on a daily basis. But I don't see why they wouldn't answer your questions, right? If you sent them a question, I don't see why not.
Do you know of any like programs out there that can kind of help connect incoming students with like a mentor or anything like that?
Um, I'm not familiar with any programs on that level, but one thing we do at O-LineSecurity, we have a bunch of amazing cyber advisors that are helping to mentor our students, mentor them along the ways of job recruitments, help them with their exams, help them with career development. So that's one thing we do provide, right, to our students.
That's awesome. That's great. So, kind of going back to or O-line security, excuse me. What would be probably one of the biggest challenges for incoming students and, people wanting to get into the cybersecurity world, maybe today that, let's say, whenever you started off, may not have been there?
Um, I feel like I heard 2 or 3 questions, but was it one or two questions that you had?
We'll just kind of go with the biggest,
Okay.
hurdle to kind of jump through.
Okay. I think one of the biggest hurdles is resumes, for sure. Resumes. For a number of reasons. It's a big hurdle because, one, it takes time to put together a good resume. And it takes the right type of guidance as well to know how to put the right resume together. So and then a lot of people get this false, there's this myth out there that you just can put whatever you want to put on your resume, and you can just have this super resume that you have out there and use it to apply to every single job. That jobs are looking for different skill sets, they're looking for different things. Employers have different wants, they have different needs. So your resume, right, there's certain, you have to be able to present your skills in a certain way. We call it presenting yourself as being market ready, right? You have to get your resume market ready. And that's a skill set on its own, right? And I think that's one of the biggest hurdles after getting certified and getting into the field is how do you get yourself market ready for the positions you want, right? Because everybody doesn't just want to do the same thing. Everybody doesn't want to be a SOC analyst.
Gotcha. I mean, that's so good because just resumes as a whole, it's not a fun topic. At least, I mean, I've never enjoyed talking about resumes. Truth be told, those were never really like the talks I'd go to in college or high school. And like, I thank God for my wife because she loves editing. She loves going through resumes and she picked it apart. And, she really helped me with that. You know, on that note, what are some resources that of that people can use to kind of work on building their resumes? And I guess how can what's like a myth out there about resumes that maybe people are believing? I know you said one was like just throwing everything on there. Maybe another myth as well that people believe that are really holding them back on their resumes for cybersecurity and infosec jobs.
Um, Another thing that there's so many, right? And just thinking about it, my mind is spinning. But another thing that holds, I'm not going to say everybody, but a good majority of new people coming into the field is their simple things, right? Like not proofreading their resume, having simple grammatical errors in there. You know, I work with a lot of recruiters on a daily basis, and they always say that is one of their biggest pet peeves are just simple grammatical errors, right? And you know, one of the recruiters said, you know, if you've had a job before, you would know to, you know, fix these mistakes, right? If you know, we have Word, Microsoft Word, you have Google Docs, you can do simple proofreading. Another one is putting skills that or putting things that matter, right? Things that are applicable to the position you're applying to. There's certain things that a recruiter, you know, it's great. There's certain things that a recruiter isn't going to take into consideration went to a job that you apply to, which is important that you understand the position you're applying to. It's important that your resume aligns with that position. It's super important, right? Because it's super important that you don't lie on your resume. I think that's one of the biggest downfalls. And that's because if you do, let's imagine that you do get past the application phase, you get a call from the recruiter talks to you, you guys have a nice conversation, she sends you over to the technical recruiter, and the technical recruiter, she also does an interview on you. And now she's asking you about your resume. And now she's asking you about things that you said you did on your resume. She's getting into the details of the things you said you did on your resume, but you don't understand the fundamentals of what you put on your resume. Now you're using certain words that were nouns and you're using them as verbs and adjectives, you know, because your sentence isn't making sense anymore. And technical recruiters, I've been in interviews where I can hear that, right? I can hear that as soon as you start talking, and it looks bad on your character. It looks bad on your character, and from that point, you know, it's usually downhill because it's okay not to know everything. And I think for me, that was one of my biggest mistakes, and that's something that I still deal with. Is understanding that it's okay not to know everything. Understanding that you can ask questions, especially in interviews, right? You don't want to lie about your skills on your resume, because when it comes out that you did lie, it's going to look bad in your character. At an interview, if you don't understand the way a question is being said, ask them to rephrase it. Say, hey, I don't understand this, especially if you're interviewing for a entry-level position. You're not going for a senior level position where they're expecting you to know these things. We've had students who get questions wrong in the interview who say, hey, can you rephrase this? I don't understand this. And they still get the job because you want to learn. You're not afraid to learn. You're not afraid to make a mistake. You're not afraid to ask questions. You're not afraid to say, hey, I don't know something, right? I don't, you know, there are a lot of different things, and I can keep rambling on, but I think that's one of the most important is not, you know, don't lie on your resume, right? Understand what you put on there and study it.
Yeah, that's super important, especially, I mean that can be true of every industry, but I mean in cybersecurity, it's all built on trust.
Yeah,
And if trust is broken before you even know somebody, that is really going to kind of kill it.